Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. It's great to have you on the show once again. If you don't join us on the show every week, you can always join us on our social media platforms. Well, even if you join us on the show, you can always join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. We are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. And also, if you miss any episode of this show, you can always catch up on YouTube. All the episodes of this show are uploaded on YouTube, and you can always do catch-up viewing much later. We'll be delighted to have you on any of those social media platforms. One of the questions people usually ask us is, how do I get my book on your show? How do I get featured on your show? Well, as you know, it's a bit challenging because we do this only once in a week, whereas there are so many people that write books. You can't believe the number of new titles that we see every week. It's really amazing. And when people say Nigerians don't read, Nigerians don't write, for those of us here, what we see makes us wonder whether that is really true. Of course, it is true in certain contexts, but the point is a lot of people write new books every week here in Nigeria. It's amazing and it's very encouraging. So just send us an email or send us a tweet to us, or put a message on our Facebook page. We will try to respond to you. If you have a book, a title you want to have featured on this show, we'll try to respond to you and then see how we can get copies of your book for assessment, and then we'll take it up from there. But that is the starting point if you want to be featured on Channels Book Club as an author. Well, we have a guest with us today who has been in public service for so many years and has written a very fascinating, engaging book. Let's introduce him, and after the introduction, we'll come back and enjoy our interview with him. Stay tuned. Dr. Jamo, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
Thank you very much, Kule.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
And congrats on your book, Harnessing Nigeria's Maritime Assets, Past, Present, and Future. It's only recently that I got introduced to the maritime industry.
Yes.
It's always been something far away from me. But let's get started with, I like the way you started your book. You said you stand by the window of your office, you look down at the car park, and it makes you think about lost potential in the maritime industry. Tell me a bit about that, and perhaps we can use that to introduce viewers to the maritime industry in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Kule. I think that was the beginning, and that was where I got the motivation to start having the idea to write a book, having spent about 3 decades in the maritime industry. Actually, that particular area started with a history of one individual that owns a warehouse just opposite my office at Boma Road. And this gentleman came, then I was an executive director. He wanted to rent a massive warehouse to us. And you know what, Kule? For us to use that massive warehouse to park our own staff cars, because our parking lot was very small. So I now asked him, what do you use this place for? And he explained to me that he used it to export cocoa. And he used to come from Ondo State. He will get his cocoa from Ondo State, transport it by road, put it in his own warehouse, and later get a vessel, export it to various countries from Apapa. And I asked him, now what happened? He said, no, this Apapa gridlock, it takes me 3 days from Ondo to reach Lagos. And from Lagos to Apapa takes me, at that time, 7 days.
3 days from Ondo to Lagos?
To Lagos. 7 days to enter Apapa and reach his own warehouse, 7 days. So he said before he gets to his own warehouse, many a times, as you know, cocoa is perishable items, they start to get rotten. And then, so he look at it and starts thinking of changing the idea of exporting cocoa from Apapa port to either Togo or Benin Republic. So he prepares to get his own cocoa from Ondo straight to Togo and get a vessel there and start the export. Just because
there was a problem in Nigeria.
There was a problem in Nigeria and the gridlock in Apapa.
Now, for those who are out there, let's introduce this book to them.
Yes.
You know, in summary, harnessing Nigeria's maritime assets.
Yes.
Past, present, and future. What's this book about in summary?
Well, let me analyze the three aspects first, then present and the future. In the past, when you look at the book, you will see the historical perspective of shipping, how shipping is started from the slave trade, when the Europeans get into Nigeria.
That was an interesting part.
That was the interesting part. That's where you see Jaja Obapowo and history of how it formed the Benin Kingdom, you know. Those are the times they now discover Nigeria.
That's the past.
That was the past. Now, the present, we now try to discover so many things like cocoa, like rubber, like granite, like cottons, and so many other assets. Then we will now come and up to the time we start processing cotton lints and other things to export it from Nigeria to different parts of the world. Then that's the present where we are up to the time of crude oil marketing that will come and take crude oil and leave the country. Now, the future is what is the real asset and what is the problems we are having now. Now, when you look at the issue of crude oil, which is the mainstay of the Nigerian economy, the international communities now, the Europe, they are thinking of year 2030, we will have nothing to do with our oil.
They don't want to have anything to do with oil again.
Biden, part of his campaign strategy was to tell Americans, I will not have anything to do with oil. So if our major marketers, they are saying that bye-bye to oil, and it's our mainstay in our own economy, then maritime should be classified as the Nigerians' best option in terms of economic prosperity after oil.
Dr. Jabal, let me read something you wrote here. At 90 trillion naira,
yes,
based on 2017 estimates, the value of Nigeria's maritime assets is about 10 times the size of the federal government's 2018 budget of 9.12 trillion. When I read this, I said, this is a mind-blowing figure at 90 trillion naira. Now, let me go on. Nigeria's maritime sector is humongous. It is capable of generating over 7 trillion naira annually and creating about 40 million jobs. Then what are we doing with oil? Why are we so caught up with oil? This is incredible, because if these figures are correct, and I believe they are. I mean, you can't write this without. It's incredible. These are incredible numbers. So why are we not consumed, if I may use that word, completely caught up with the maritime industry? And like you just listed now, The areas are so many: shipyard building, ship repairs, shipping, and so many other things connected to. What's going on?
Well, Kule, if I take you a little bit, it's not by accident that God made Nigeria a coastal state. And in Nigeria, we have 8 littoral states. And if you go to the 8 littoral states, each one, they have their own comparative advantage. Now, from the area you read, let me take only maritime tourism. Only maritime tourism, let me analyze it to you now. When you look at the number of people that go in to visit beach, you go to Akodo Beach now, you find some people making sheds. And those sheds they are making, you go and take shelter there. After you stop enjoying yourself by the seaside, you go and relax, you sleep. Do they do it free of charge? They earn money.
Of course.
They gain employment.
Of course, as income.
Some do carry water for sale.
Drinks.
Water. Water. Some they do entertainment. They dance, they sing, and they get money.
Horses. They say your children.
Horses. You ride horses.
You ride horses.
You ride horses.
They collect from you 1,500 naira for the horse to move from here to there.
So here now, between me and you now, we discuss more than 5 jobs. Incredible. Source of income. So for me, when I look at maritime industry, I see dollars flying on the street, on the land. You understand? Yes. I see euro. I can see pound sterling, but people cannot see to pick it. If we sit down only now, you take the issue of this particular area of tourism. We are obviously, I am no longer interested in trying to deal with the theory. We move another level now. We are coming to the practicality because people ask questions. You said 90 trillion. We don't want figure. Let us see practically. We have written letters to all the 8 littoral state governors. On Tuesday, I'm meeting on those state governors. If you are following me on Twitter, you will see me with the Bayelsa state governor. We discussed 3 areas with him. 1, ship recycling, which I did not mention to you earlier. You go and remove the ship from under the sea.
Yeah, all those wreckages.
All those wreckages. So when you remove it, ship doesn't have total destruction's value. By the time you remove it, it's money. The person that is removing it, he's making money. You remove it, you take it to industry, you melt it, it becomes another iron for you to do a lot of things. The industry will have to do. So we are discussing the issue of ship recycling with him. We are talking the issue of maritime academy, that we are going to build this younger generation. We will have to pack them instead of them becoming nuisance in our own waterways. They are now going to study in that particular area. And then the third issue, we are looking at the possibility of how to get a kind of deep sea port in that particular. You can imagine even the deep sea port, how much we are going to harness. Now, this is the area of Bayelsa. We are preparing ourselves this coming Tuesday to meet the Ondo State Governor. We'll look at his comparative advantage also. Maybe one thing at a time. When we have the 8 littoral states, we try to see how we can practicalize what we have in this book. Are those
8 states the states sitting on the Atlantic?
Yes, they have crossed.
Yeah, so, all the states sitting on the Atlantic with they have the shore.
Yes.
It's amazing. Yes. And then you also wrote here about the inland waterways. You said it's over 3,000 kilometers.
Over 3,000 kilometers. So while the south they have the Atlantic Ocean, then the north they have inland waterways.
My head was almost busting when I was
reading that's why this. I tell you everything, the pound sterling, dollar, everywhere
I don't want to hear oil again. And nobody should say the word oil in my ears again, because it is incredible. Incredible. And it's as if God just blessed Nigeria with, the way we are positioned, everything, where we are positioned.
Everything is an abundance.
Incredible, really. Um, Dr. Jamo, unfortunately, we don't have so much so much time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kule.
We've run out of time.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah, but I think this summarizes what you have in here. Really, is a summary of the potential of the maritime industry and the many dynamics of that industry.
Exactly.
And I think you are well fitted to tell the story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure having you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Up next is one of the guests for the National Readership Campaign of the National Library of Nigeria. Let's introduce him and let's get to hear his thoughts on why reading is important.
Justice Musa Danladi Abubakar has had a distinguished legal career, evident in his occupation of important positions in Nigeria's judiciary, from being a state counsel to being a chief magistrate, chief registrar, sheriff, judge of a state high court, and ultimately chief judge of Katsina State. Abubakar has been a man of the law for over 3 decades. The foundation of his career success was laid when, as a young child, he became literate early enough and quickly got up to speed in English, Arabic, and Hausa languages.
Got into the primary school, it took me a very little time to translate the English alphabet to Arabic. So, in my first year in primary school, I was able to read Hausa.
Justice Abubakar credits structures built in the societies of his early days for developing a culture of reading.
In our days, we had reading rooms in every town where there is a district head. They take the vernacular paper weekly. They have some books in Hausa, a variety of books, a huge collection of books which they kept on updated. In our primary days, there was the reading class. Our teachers then encouraged us to read. And as we grew up, we started buying books of interest ourselves. So that was how I came to develop interest in reading. And when I get to secondary school, that was the biggest opportunity. We had a lot of collection. By Form 3, we had all the collection of AWS, Africa Writers Series, and that was a great period. Then in our senior secondary school days, there were the Western books, James Hadley Chase, and the likes, and I enjoyed reading them, and I kept them in my collection and developed interest in literary activities generally.
For Abubakar, it's not been about reading, but also about promoting it as much as possible.
I encourage children to read. I can remember as far back as 1978, I used part of my scholarship grant to purchase books for my town's library. And I'm proud whenever I get there, I see them stamped with my name. And much later, I kept on buying and donating books, encouraging children in schools, encouraging book clubs, and so on, up to the time that I reached a very high position in government. And then all the literary students association, I mentor them. I became a patron to all of them, from the university to the secondary schools. Now, I was one of those who became interested in the National Library of Nigeria and the Katsina State Library. So I kept on visiting the place and I developed a relationship with them. And I found myself a book-friendly person that encourages everyone who is interested in book reading.
As far as Justice Abubakar is concerned, there's a strong correlation between reading and how individuals and communities turn out.
Reading makes a man, certainly. may be literate, may be educated, but if you don't keep reading culture, you certainly be left behind. Now, leaders that are good leaders, you find that they are always reading, researching, and trying to find more about the art of leadership. You know what reading makes. You don't feature articles I read until you read. No, for instance, the person taking the bit of judicial correspondent, you just don't send anybody. Even if you send somebody who will need to read the Constitution, read the laws, ask lawyers, read a lot to understand how he will report, learn some ethics. So certainly, without reading, you are an incomplete human being.
Up next is a new book recently released by one of the first ladies in Nigeria. Usually we don't connect first ladies with writing and, writing books and publishing books and promoting literacy and all that. They've got so many other projects they are often interested in. But this is a first lady with a passion for writing.
The lack of interest in creative writing and literacy in Nigeria is a concern Hadiza El-Rufai, wife of the Kaduna State Governor, wishes to tackle. The launch of a new book titled The Bloom, which was held at the Yasmin El-Rufai Foundation Center, Kaduna, is her latest effort. The book, which is an anthology of short stories and poetry with entries from some secondary school students in Kaduna State, was edited by the First Lady. The Bloom, a brainchild of the Yasmin El-Rufai Foundation, is aimed at promoting literacy and education in Kaduna and the country in general.
When children are involved in anything, we get a glimpse of the future.
Its reviewer Nabila Usman and the reader of the day, Deborah Johnson, both highlight the contents of the book.
Bloom gives the reader a complete picture of a life fully lived. The themes and storylines of each piece, put together, thread through experiences of regret, jealousy, neglect, love, abuse, heroism, and much more. The use of language and imagery to draw out laughter, followed quickly by a reflective soberness, is evident of the great skill these young writers possess.
The governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and a host of other dignitaries were present at the launch event.
Anna Khadija Yahaya, also from Zamani College, Kaduna, first runner-up.
The event also featured the presentation of awards and prizes to winners of the Hamza El-Rufai short story competition. For Hadiza El-Rufai, catching talents young and exposing them to the world of poetry and creative writing will not only bring illiteracy to a bare minimum, but also produce a generation of writers, especially in the northern part of the country.
All over the country, but particularly in northern Nigeria, we don't really consider creative writing as something that is important. Generally, even the arts are not considered. And amongst our young people, we have a lot of talented youngsters that just need that encouragement so that the creativity in them can be nurtured.
This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we're delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.